Hi, I'm Julie Malcolm, and this is my story about why I chose teaching as a career. I was a senior student in high school, and a few years prior, I had started to attend church regularly. I had accepted Jesus in my heart, and I would visit church to learn about Him, to learn how to pray to Him, and to just sing and have fun. I remember my church would engage in frequent conversations, deep discussions about purpose, that it wasn't all well and good to eat, drink, and be merry, but you also had a purpose, just like Martin Luther King, the national heroes, the persons we read about in the Bible, just like the political and social leaders that we have in real life, we also had a purpose, and that they could not tell us what our purpose was. We had to go and find it for ourselves. We had to ask Jesus. And so I would pray frequently, Jesus, tell me what you want me to do. Lord, what would thou have me to do? And he answered in the most amazing way, unexpected. So I was walking along the corridor at school, Vera Technical High School, and you know that stretch of corridor where you have the principal's office to your back, the staff room and the teacher's lounge to your left, and this lush lawn to your right. I was walking along that corridor, heading towards the business section of campus, the business staff rooms. And you know when you're watching a movie and there's a scene change, right? Church people will call it vision. The scene just changed before my eyes, and I was no longer at school. Instead, I was in a room that in real life was unfamiliar to me, but in the dream or in the vision or in the scene change, I was quite comfortable. I was quite familiar with the room and with the persons in the room. What was significant was that the persons in the room, each, and I could see faces vividly, each person had a different subject area in which he or she specialized. I was standing at the front facing them, and I was addressing them. And as soon as the vision started, the vision ended. When it started, I was a few steps away from the principal's door. When it ended, I was in front of the business department. I was no longer walking, but I had stopped. I recalled slowing down, but I didn't recall stopping, and I didn't recall where I was, but I had stopped, and I had turned to overlook the lawn, the lush lawn I spoke about earlier. And whereas it seemed odd, it wasn't like I'm freaking out strange, because by that time at church we had gotten to Joel chapter 2 in the Bible, so we had already been taught about Jesus speaking to believers in through visions and through dreams. All right, so but it's still that kind of weird, and you wondered if people would even believe you, that you little old you, why would God be bothered to talk to you like that. I'm sure my leaders would have believed me, but I'm not sure if and I like to see results before I speak, in case happen. In those days I liked to see results before talking about the experience, in case it didn't happen and it wasn't truly Jesus who had spoken to me. I was still learning about faith at that time. Don't crucify me. Still learning. I was still learning about faith at that time and what it took to believe. And so that was the vision. After high school, I hadn't applied to any college, any university, because I was concerned about where my family would find the funds to pay the tuition. I'm not a single child. I have siblings, and my parents didn't know this because I didn't tell them, but I was very concerned about putting the cost of college on them. I just, wanted to pay my own way, big and independent girl. And so I didn't tell them. But I recall one day I was at church. This is the Church of God of Prophecy. At the time, my pastor was Pastor W.B. Heron. And I don't know if he remembers this. I don't even remember if I have ever shared it with him. But I was standing at the entrance to the church, not exactly in front of the door, but a little to the side. And we were talking, because in that church, they were just very involved in the lives of young people. I remember even taking my report cards to church, and you'd be asked, whether you're attending school, whether you're attending regularly, how are your grades, how you're doing, how you're getting along with your teachers. They were just very involved in the lives of young people, and I just felt very comfortable at that church during those years, those teenage years. Perhaps some of the best years of my life to date. And I remember he said to me, what's up, what's happening now after high school, what's next? And I shared with him my concern about putting the cost of college on my parents. I told him, I'm going to work and send myself to college. And he was like, no, you will never earn enough to send yourself to college. And I understood in that moment that he was talking about the fact that all I had was a high school diploma. So the time it would take to accumulate all the funds required for college, tuition fees that would constantly increase year after year after year, it didn't make sense what I was doing at that time. And he said, you'll never earn enough to send yourself to college. Take what your parents have and go. That completely changed my life. And if I haven't shared this with him, I'm really guilty. I need to find him. I need to find him and express my thanks, if I haven't done so already. But when he said that to me, it changed my life. I remember applying to 2 colleges, both teachers' colleges. Now, remember, I'm not actively thinking about this vision or this scene change that I had on my school campus. I'm not thinking about it, but there was something inside me that kept pushing me. So when I thought of colleges, universities, I thought of teachers' colleges. I applied to 2. One did not respond, and the other one did. But even the application process was kind of strange too, because I remember, for the millennials and the Gen X or Gen Z or Gen every letter of the alphabet generation, this was before cellular telephones were popular in Jamaica. Internet service was up and running within the country. So you may have a bit of challenge understanding how I navigated this, but we older folks, we know. So I remember I didn't know how to find a particular college to which I wanted to apply. But there was a young man in my church who had attended that college. It's the Michael College. Now it's known as the Michael University College because they've since upgraded. And I didn't know how to find it. So I traveled a part of the journey via public transportation. And I stopped at a store that was familiar to me. I paid them 20 Jamaican dollars to use their telephone and their telephone book. And I called the Michael, a warm, patient, polite, understanding young lady answered the phone. And I told her, this is where I am. I know how to get to point X, but I don't know, having reached point X, how to move from there to where you are. Can you kindly give me directions? And she did. And I arrived. Now, if you attended Michael in the late 90s, you know where the admissions office was. You know Buxton Building. So it's the section of Buxton Building that overlooked the courtyard where they had the snack store, snack shop, and Mills Hall, and to one side, and to the other side you had the staff parking lot and the Inafka Museum, and to the other side you had the chapel and the games field, football field, right? That's where the admissions office was. So you had to walk up to a final classroom, then you had to go to your right, turn into the door on your right in order to access the admissions office. When I got to that final classroom before I made the turn, as I approached it, I felt pulled to it somehow. I didn't know why. I just turned and looked. The doors were closed, the windows were closed, but there was just something about it that I didn't understand. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I entered admissions, I applied, got accepted. And as I did in high school, I continued the tradition of being involved in student leadership. In final year, the final semester, the end of spring, beginning of summer, I was standing in that very classroom presenting to a group of students. This was my final semester. And by that time, I was completing my service as the president of the Christian movement on campus, UCCF, Universities and Colleges Christian Fellowship. And I had to my left my two vice presidents, Calvin and Dwayne. And I was sharing with my batchmates who were seated in front of me. And sometime between that moment and the days immediately following, I recalled the vision I had in high school. Throughout my years of college, I did not remember. Throughout the beginning and end of semesters where I stressed over tuition, groceries, uniform, books, entertainment money, I did not remember the vision, but in me, I knew I was going to finish. There was no doubt in my mind that I would finish Teachers College. But there were moments of anxiety. Young Christians still learning how to trust, still trying to remember scriptures, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, with prayer and supplications, make your petitions known to God. Ask and it shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened. For everyone who asks, receives, and the person who seeks will find. For Jesus knows what you need before you ask, and while you are asking, he will answer. I'm still learning those scriptures in those days. And so generally I had faith, but there were specific moments of anxiety. But after my final semester, that moment addressing the audience, I remembered the vision. The same faces I saw as a high schooler on the corridors of their technical high school were the same faces that I saw in the audience in front of me. And it was then, like, that was one of the most powerful moments in my life. I remembered that God is indeed Alpha and Omega. He showed me my end before my beginning even started. He showed me my end before my beginning even started. He showed me my final days in college before I even applied. No wonder that other college didn't respond to me. So when you think you miss opportunities, that's just Jesus redirecting you. When you see me powering through a particular situation and you ask, why don't you just give up? Why do you keep going? Why do you keep fighting? You are going to lose. You are bound to lose. This is one example of why I don't stop. This is one example of why I keep going, why I keep moving. Because that same Jesus is alive and well and lives inside me and places an angel before me and his glory behind me. That same Jesus who parted every Red Sea and every Jordan River during my micro college days, all of 3 years, that same Jesus is going to take me through every situation. So you want to know where my strength comes from? It comes from moments like that. It comes from remembering when God showed himself strong. He showed up and showed out. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if you're going through a transitional period and you're not sure what to do, you may be changing your universities, colleges. You may be changing your major within university. You may be changing a partner or a dwelling house. You may be changing jobs. Do what I was asked to do as a teenager. Ask Jesus, Lord, what would you have me to do? And he will answer you. He will tell you what to do. He will be the lamp unto your feet and the light unto your path. Pray with me. Dear Jesus, thank you for your children who chose to watch this video. For every situation that they're experiencing, for every transition by which they're overwhelmed, with every transitional period that they face, I pray that you will teach them how to talk to you, that they will talk with you, and that you will be a lamp to their feet and a light to their path. You'll guide them with your eye, and you'll show them the way in which they should go. Amen. Until my next video, Lamp and Light. I'm Julie Malcolm, and this is my story.